What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today, Luke and I are tackling Scream, but not the original, the fifth one that's also called Scream from 2022. Luke, what's
Yeah,
your favorite scary movie?
I don't know.
What'd you think of this movie on the
The
rewatch?
Shining. No, I like this movie a lot of fun. There's some pretty evident flaws, but it's a really exciting young cast and embodies everything that's good about Scream.
I agree. I think that it did exactly what it sought out to do, which was parody the Legacy sequel and bring in a really solid cast of new characters to kind of grab that torch from the old. And I think on both fronts, it really achieves its goals. Like you said, yeah, there's some flaws and we can get into that. But the Scream movies, you can kind of forgive their flaws because you can just chalk it up to meta comedy, which
Yeah,
is a really easy, like, get out of jail free card for these movies in this franchise. But it all really does work.
yeah. Anything outlandish or too cliche, that's satire. It's not actually a flaw. It's purposeful. But no, I mean, this movie it hits all the beats of the original Scream. I don't know. It's exciting without being innovative. It's a lot like Top Gun Maverick. It hits all the beats you're familiar with and it innovates upon them without doing anything terribly outside the box. But sometimes that's just what you need to do.
I do think it's fascinating. This is clearly a direct response to the reception of The Last Jedi, the eighth Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
And it's very blatant because they even say in the movie, everyone hated Stab 8. It was directed by that Knives Out guy,
Yeah.
and it spit in the faces of all the fans. So it's like pretty evident that's what it's parodying. And as I was watching it, I was thinking, because, as we go through the movie, we kind of find out the motivation of these killers is they're super fans that felt scorned by this movie they didn't like. And they took it so personally, they went on a killing spree on their own accord. And I think that that is just a perfect encapsulation of toxic fandom and how The Last Jedi Fallout kind of went.
Yeah, and that's obviously an interesting commentary, and it is true to the Scream franchise. Kind of a send up of horror movies, and a meta commentary on movies in general. What I didn't like about this movie is the second you meet the Jack Quaid character, the second you meet Mikey Madison, you know exactly who the killers are, which is pretty absurd. And the whole time you're expecting it's going to take like a turn, and it just never does.
It actually is hilarious when they go to visit Dewey. He's immediately like, your boyfriend's the killer. He clocks him immediately. And it's kind of played for laughs, but he was spot on.
Well, even before that, when he's in the car with Samantha and he's saying, "Oh, I've never seen the stab movies," you're like, "Yeah, dude, you're the killer." Maybe Scream isn't supposed to be like M. Night Shyamalan Twist City, but they could have been a little more creative. But the
Yeah.
journey to get to the very obvious answer was a blast, so you can forgive it.
The one positive I do take away from kind of clocking who the killers are fairly easily is Huey, Jack Quaid. There's
Yes,
Huey and Dewey in this movie.
from the boys.
But Jack Quaid, his character is pretending to watch these stab movies for the first time throughout the movie. And he keeps just dropping like subtle things to Melissa Barrera's character, like, yeah, they're right. This one really jumped the shark. What a bad one. Like he's trying to just generate a discourse over a franchise he secretly loves, acting like he's never seen it before. I find that to be incredibly funny.
Speaking of funny commentary, I really like the Jenna Ortega character loves like the A24 style elevated horror, which is obviously in vogue now. And I just think it's funny that Scream is acknowledging like, yeah, we're kind of parodying something that died 20 years ago. I don't know. It's just all wrapped up in like a very neat little meta bow.
I will say I picked up on that line just because that really has been the case for a while. I think it's kind of starting to teeter back towards the kind of Scream slasher movies with weapons. It was kind of fascinating and I was doing it myself. We all came out of that movie like, what's the deeper meaning behind this?
Yeah.
And, Zach Krager was just like, I thought it'd be really funny if the kids beat the shit out of the witch. So
Like,
I think they're kind of leaning more towards the like, oh, they can just be kind of fun rides like Malignant and movies like that. They don't have to all be some deep contextual message behind all the scares.
yeah, it is interesting because this movie isn't Insidious Loomis, which is like jump scare city, and it's not Hereditary, certainly. There just needs to be room for a movie like this where it's like, yeah, there's a plot, there's subtext, but also it's silly. This movie came out in 2022 at a time where elevated horror was like the thing. It's a fun ride. I do really enjoy, despite how silly the movie is at large, they at least attempted with making Billy Loomis Samantha's dad. I thought that was like, it was the bare minimum, but also I was like, yeah, you know what? That's a very neat way to tie this into the movies.
Yeah, I really like that added dimension to her character. Like she's kind of white knuckling her sanity at all
Yeah.
times. And Billy Loomis is just like constantly saying, you should stab everyone you see. And then we kind of see her have an excuse to unleash it on Jack Quaid at the end. And she just goes bananas and stabs him like 20 times.
Yeah, there's a lot of stab in this movie, which gives me the heebie-jeebies a little bit.
Dewey's death it was very upsetting. The way he gets stabbed and just the idea that this poor guy has encountered the same situation like 4 other times
Yeah.
just to finally get stabbed to death in the end years and years later. It's really sad. That death really bothered me.
He's had a bad life. Can't blame him for any of his behavior. I'm glad Courtney Cox made it out alive. If she hadn't, the movie would have just been far too depressing.
All the actors that come back, Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox, David Arquette, they're all great. I mean, they
Mhm.
serve the purpose they need to. Neve Campbell shows up like Falcon and Black Panther in Avengers Endgame at the climax of the movie. But I'm sitting there like, let's go. Sidney Prescott's here to save the day.
On your left. Jenna Ortega was just so fantastic in this movie. I'm kind of having trouble getting over the fact that she's not going to reprise this role. It's just such a horrible missed opportunity. She's like the quintessential new age scream queen. I hope she finds an outlet for this at some point. Her and Mia Goth are definitely like the two in that generation. Like she's just so good at playing badass fighting against the killer as well as like damsel in distress. She was perfect in this movie.
I agree. I think they really nailed the casting, like we've said, and it's just a shame that obviously I love Neve Campbell and she's going to be kind of the focal point of the new one again, but I just think it was a huge mistake. They'd earned so much goodwill with audiences with these first two, and for the like third in this new kind of like trilogy, if you want to call it that, they just totally
Blew it. Yeah.
yeah, and all I'll say is this: actors and actresses get fired for saying or doing things all the time.
Mhm.
Usually, if the other cast members also leave the project when that happens, it means they probably shouldn't have gotten fired. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, it's a James Gunn situation. This friend group, what a bad hang. And
They're awful.
there was never a moment where I really didn't want Ghostface to carve them all up. I think that's one of the big shortcomings of the movie. There's Clay Jensen, which God knows his character name in this one, but like him and the twins, they were all just like kind of idiots, which is a trope of horror movies. I get it. It's a commentary on that trope, but God, man, had no interest in seeing them survive.
13 Reasons Why guy that really fell off. Did you like his character?
Yeah, I loved it. He was awful. It was
Dude,
great.
I wrote down these kids are the fucking worst. Maybe they kind of deserve it. Like when Dewey comes over to break down the situation to him, unprompted, unprovoked, he just goes, "Your wife left you and you're a loser." And Dewey's like, "What the fuck, man? Like, why would you say that?" You know what the best meta moment I thought was of the whole movie? Jasmine Savoy Brown is the name of the actress. She's from Yellow Jacket. She's one of the twins. She's sitting there watching the Stab movie, which is essentially the first Scream movie. And she's watching a person watch a person in a movie with a killer walking up behind them. And it's just like a mirror effect of the audience, us, is also screaming, "Look behind you," while she's doing it, and the person on her movie is also doing it for a movie that's happening. I thought that was so delightful. It's so preposterous, but it really worked for me.
I do think that they kind of shortchanged her character a little bit because she played the horror movie expert. So for her to fall for such a common horror movie trope, it was a little disappointing. But again, the movies are silly.
Well, I will say I think that kind of harkens back to the original Scream because her uncle goes out the same way.
Yeah.
And he was also always the expert, but he also failed to follow his own rules. But I do like that she also survived. She and her brother both
Yeah.
lived to the next one,
And,
which
yeah,
I'm kind of glad because I enjoyed both their characters.
they're both in the new movie, right?
Oh, I'm not sure, to be honest.
That's what Google told me. So,
Oh,
but,
very nice.
Gemini, this AI.
They're never wrong.
I'll go on the record right now. AI. Dolls. Flip it.
Luke loves big AI. Dude hates water. As far as the final act goes, it does crack me up that they get lured to Stu Macher's house. Also, Stu Macher, I mean, I don't want to say put some respect on his name because he was a deranged serial killer, but like, no one knows his name. It's actually pretty funny. They're always like Billy Loomis and some other guy. But you're telling me that not everyone in that area knows exactly which house is his?
100%. Yeah, that's the house you avoid on Halloween when you're trick or treating. And it's just the idea of Mikey Madison. Obviously, we learned she's the killer, so it was her plan all along. But the idea, in theory, that she hosted a party while her best friend was recovering from stab wounds. It's like, I don't know, that that defies logic just a little bit.
It is odd because she even says something to her friends when they're taking shots. Like, this is supposed to be a memorial.
Yeah.
You're the host. Like, you set the precedent of this get together.
No, the whole third act, I think it's the weakest part of the movie. Again, the fact that the two obvious killers end up being the killers, the fact that their motivation is the same motivation as every Scream movie, it just falls a little flat. Whereas the rest of the movie, I think, is pretty exceptional.
Honestly, I disagree with you because I love how they drive the point home of these absolute diehard super fans are the biggest fucking losers of all time. Like, because even when Jack Quaid's been stabbed 30 times, his last words are, "What about my movie?" I really find that fantastic. And another thing, I'm sure people on the internet have already pointed this out, but I had never thought of it, and I was blown away at the fact that Mikey Madison in this conclusion of this movie gets her face beat in and then lit on fire, and she's a knife-wielding psychopath, just like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's happened to her twice in 3 years. That's insane.
Both shots to her face, one with the dog food can and then the one in this movie, very gruesome. Poor girl.
I know. And in both times, she survives her horrific burns to make like one last jump scare, and then she just gets annihilated.
Honora was down on her luck too.
Yeah, but at least she didn't get lit on fire, maybe in a metaphorical sense. But yeah, also, like, just what a treat that Mikey Madison's just a supporting character in a Scream movie, and now she's, like, a superstar. Just, this will age to be like, oh yeah, that one Scream movie with Mikey Madison. What a treat.
She's fantastic. It'll end up being like Johnny Depp in Nightmare on Elm Street 3 or whatever it was. Like, it'll be a fun trivia fact.
Oh yeah, Kevin Bacon in the original Friday the 13th.
Yeah, exactly.
So to really dive into the whole toxic fandom element of this, I feel like it's never been more topical. This movie, like we said, is clearly poking fun at The Last Jedi, but more importantly, poking fun at the fans who hated it, who let their dislike of a movie grow into this like really ugly, unhealthy obsession where they're harassing very real people and sending them death threats over a fucking movie. Like, that is the type of psycho loser that this movie is really nailing on the head. And of course, Star Wars isn't the only example. Like, this is the most relevant at the time for this movie to kind of parody. Everyone knows about the Snyder Cut people that cannot let go of a certain interpretation of DC. Yeah. They're still out there, few and far between, but they're still kicking. But even more recently than that was Stranger Things, where people that were disappointed with the finale just created this entire narrative in their head looking at meaningless details across multiple episodes and seasons and conjured up this idea that there was a secret actual finale that would fulfill every wish they wanted that they didn't get in the real finale. And then they're angry when it didn't happen. Also completely delusional, insane. But even more recently than this, Luke, I don't know if you've heard about this. You're aware of the show A Night of the Seven Kingdoms.
I am familiar with its existence, yes.
So its penultimate episode of this first season aired, and I love that show. I watched that episode. It's phenomenal. It got a 10 out of 10 on IMDb. It's the second time this has ever happened. The first show to ever do this, and the first episode more specifically, is Ozymandias, the Breaking Bad episode.
Like maybe the greatest episode of any television show ever.
It's incredible. I mean, it's well deserved.
Yeah.
So Breaking Bad fans were so personally attacked by the idea that another show could have a perfect 10 out of 10 rating, they started review bombing the Game of Thrones spinoff show so it would drop below a 10. And of course, in retaliation, the Seven Kingdoms fans did the same to Ozymandias. So now neither one of them are a 10 out of 10. So I ask you, what the fuck is the point?
I envy these people because clearly their lives are so amazing that the most important thing, like the thing that gets their goat more than anything, is an episode of television. So their personal lives must be just ironclad. I mean, I don't understand it. Parasocial doesn't even begin to describe it. It's horrible. It's existed since the beginning of time, but with social media and the immediate feedback loop and these communities that have been built, it's a nightmare. And I would like to think that these people largely aren't real, but unfortunately, there's a lot of evidence to the contrary.
You know, I would like to believe that it was just a lot of bots on the internet too, but even like Star Wars The Phantom Menace, all these grown adults harassed a child actor so much he never acted again.
Yeah.
And I mean, the internet was around, but that was pre-social media. I mean, these people are just, and I'm going to push back and say, I think we both know the true answer to this conundrum is these people have nothing else in their life.
Yeah. Little Annie was pretty bad. But no, I mean, they have nothing better to do with their times. It's sad, but I guess it's just par for the course.
To bring this kind of full circle, I want to ask you, do you have any idea who directed the episode Ozymandias of Breaking Bad?
No.
Ryan fucking Johnson.
Dude.
So to totally wrap this up, I just want to say this. Creatives are not out to get you or destroy the things you love. Luke, I'm sure you're the same way. I've had shows and franchises and movies that have really let me down, and it was a bummer, but I got over it. I mean, the Star Wars sequels let me down, but I moved on like a normal, healthy person would.
Yeah.
And sometimes Hollywood makes stories that you don't personally enjoy, and that's okay. You're gonna be okay. Should go outside. And that's what Scream 5's all about, baby.
Put that on a motivational poster. You're gonna be okay. Go outside.
There's more to life than episode 8, Go Outside.
That movie did suck, though. How does this stack up? The ultimate question, my favorite question every week.
Oh, against the materialists.
Mm-hmm.
I would say materialist wins if it weren't for Mikey Madison's presence and she just boosted enough to, I'm going to give it to Scream 2022 or Scream 5, whatever your preference is.
I'm gonna call this one a push. Both pretty flawed movies with beautiful women. So I'm gonna call it a push.
Is that our first tie?
I think so.
Wow, that's insanity. I do have one fun fact for you before we go.
Ooh, let's hear it.
Did you know that in Scream 2022, the sheriff is driving frantically on her way home to save her son, 13 Reasons Why, and she's on the phone with the new Ghostface, and she pleads with him, "My son's never done anything wrong, please don't do this," which is actually a lie because of that crime of a haircut he has. Absolutely got him. Bang! What an idiot.
He also wasn't there for Hannah Baker.
No, it was his fault.
He was at least one of 13.
Oh, so it might as well be 100.
Like and subscribe.
Absolutely, gang. Go ahead and murder that subscribe button. Absolutely stab the like button. And we'll see you next week. Luke, thank you as always.
Thank you.